Okay, boys and girls, Uncle Marty's got another story for you. He graduated from Brandeis University, Phi Beta Kappa with a degree in history, and was a Fulbright Scholar in France and also a Woodrow Wilson Scholar. For 3 years, he was an American Foreign Service officer, and in 1969, he joined CBS, where he had a 47 career, taking him to 67 foreign countries. Covering the Gulf War in 1991, he and 4 of his television crew were captured by Iraqi forces and held captive for 40 days. Anybody know who I'm talking about yet? On February 11, 2015, riding in the back of a limousine owned by a company that had a contract with CBS, and they were driving him home, he was killed in a car crash caused by the limousine driver. You imagine this? Bob Simon. Anybody remember Bob Simon?
Yeah.
60 Minutes. You get into a limousine, and beyond me how a limousine driver could cause a car to end up that bad. The driver had had his license suspended 9 times in the past 5 years, had several drunk driving citations, and had a paralyzed right arm. Yet, can you imagine a limousine company allowing a driver with only one useful arm and multiple suspensions to drive passengers? Bob Simon had to be extracted from the roof of his limousine and died on the way to the hospital. A good and a talented man died a sudden and needless death. And of course there was a lawsuit, and the limousine attorney had the gall to blame Bob Simon for his death because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. My message today and my thought is, always wear your seatbelts. Don't even start your engine until you have your seatbelt on, and all your passengers in your car, including the ones in the back seat, have theirs fastened too. Thank you.
He was serious today, not a single joke.
Yeah.
Jump into the dangerous male-female space of what politics. So here's 2 lovely ladies sitting at a table. One says, "I'm not ready for commitment. I prefer catch and release." I think I dated her a time or 2. So I thought you may put your friends' names in there as you wish. I'm not going to go anywhere near that. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I want to talk about Eugene Onegin, the opera that we're going to do. And this is an unusual event. I've never had 3 principal directors here. We have Erie Mills, our artistic director. We have Alex Katzman, soon, our maestro. And we have Candace Evans, our stage director. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about the depth of the opera and what these people do. And so starting off with Erie Mills, first I'd like to say that Erie is highly experienced and accomplished in opera. She sang for 25 years as a coloratura soprano around from New York Met to San Francisco and many places in between, also in Europe and maybe Japan, I don't know. Now she is our artistic director, and she still works for Santa Fe and St. Louis operas. Now, let me move into what she does for Eugene Onegin. She gets to select the opera and recommend it to the board. So Erie is highly interested in an opera that will fit the Bankhead stage. We can get the singers needed to do it. The orchestra can handle it. And the board is highly interested in, can we sell tickets and what does it cost to do? So we talk about all these things, and the board kind of mumbles. Finally, it came up, yes, we can do Eugene Onegin. It has heavy requirements that you'll hear a little bit about from me and from them. Then Erie has to go into gear 2. She has to hire those singers she said she could hire. And getting them to match this particular opera, knowledge of Russian and character, looking and sounding like the role. She has a wide bunch of spies out there that help her attract good people. Okay, moving to Alex. Alex, can a couple of you gentlemen help Alex if he needs to take the weight off? Are you fine? Okay. Okay. Alex is in charge of all the music. He maintains an excellent orchestra. Chorus is a little bit harder. Sometimes some operas don't have chorus, so we kind of dismiss the chorus and form it for each opera. And it's traditionally difficult to attract, especially men. But this is a heavy chorus opera that requires a lot of chorus. So I kind of decided if I was recruiting one of those people, I'd say, gee, you can sing pretty good. You want to sing in our chorus? He'd say, well, what do you pay and what's the story? Well, I ignore the pay question. And I say, well, you're going to have to start rehearsals in August for an October show. And you're going to have to learn to do the waltz and the country dances and the mazurka in front of 400 people. You're going to be on stage for over an hour. Are you interested? And darn if they don't sign up. And then why? I think it's because this is a challenging opera, an interesting opera, and they really don't want a boring chorus job that's only on there for 10 minutes. Okay, Candace Evans. Boy, she inherits a lot when she comes to Livermore. We're really happy to inherit a lot on your plate. I mean, so happy to have you. She basically takes 33 strangers, or 34, or something like that. Room full of strangers. She has to teach them to where to stand, where to move, which direction, what to do, teach them these dances. Some that she's choreographed herself, and then for the singers, she coaches the emotional moments quite separately. She does that for only a couple weeks, and then we move into the banquet, and in some ways she starts all over because now we got scenery in the way, things aren't familiar, what you thought was an exit, you walk too far and you fall in the pit. So we've got really 2 days to figure that out. Monday, Tuesday, 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But at the same time, we're figuring out about over 100 lighting cues. And each lighting cue has to be marked by an X, and the singer has to be in the right spot at the right time for the light to come on. All this is compressed into 3 days, and then the rest rehearsal. So it's unusual, I think, for an opera. Maybe you can question them about it. I think it's quite unusual for an opera company, and we're really happy to have these directors. So the last thing I'd like to say then, if you want to know more about this opera, go to the website. We've done an exceptional job this year, I believe. You can listen to the beautiful Act 2 waltz while you're reading a well-written synopsis. And you can even click something if you're not sure how to pronounce Onegin, which is really Onegin. If you don't want to know how you get that from that in Russia, there's a little tutorial that's kind of humorous. Last thing I want to offer you people is a chance at fame. The backstage crew could take some new recruits, and women welcome. It's mostly a women's crew now. The scenery isn't that heavy, but things have to be done. So please see me, and I'll sign you up. And lastly, please go buy tickets. You will very well enjoy this show. And now I want to introduce Erie. I'll turn the microphone over to her, and she'll continue the program.
Thank you, Jim. Up close and personal. Okay. It's a pleasure to be here. I haven't been here for a couple of years, but I know you've had representatives from LVO. We are delighted to be performing Eugene Onegin. There were two reasons that we picked this opera. First of all, Alex Katzman is Russian, native-born and educated. And he has been our music director now for 12 years, and he conducted even before becoming music director. And I wanted to do something in Russian, and I think he did too, but it was a question of what we could do and what we could sell. So we will be doing Eugene Onegin. The other reason that we did it is because our chorus has every year been improving. Jim said he didn't talk about the pay. Well, I can tell you about the pay. They receive $150 gas money. They begin rehearsals in August, and we start staging rehearsals second week of September, rehearse for 3 weeks, and then they have 4 performances. That's a lot of time, and now they are singing in Russian. They will have 3 costumes apiece because there are 2 ball scenes and a peasant scene. And they're working extremely hard, but we knew that this year, with all the improvement, this was the year to do a big, big, big chorus show. And when you Wikipedia Eugene Onegin, you will see that it says it's an opera that has basically three important principles, although Sarah and Andrew are very important principles. You're going to hear them sing. Three principles, three principles, and the fourth being the chorus. That's how high the chorus rates in Eugene Onegin. So anyway, I want to go on and introduce Candace Evans. Jim did a little bit of that, but internationally praised for a flawless sense of timing, said Opera News, whose work is genuine gripping drama. Opera Now returns to Livermore after her debut in Lucia di Lammermoor. She staged Lucia for us several years ago. Known for incisive storytelling, her Akhenaten was named definitive by the Philip Glass organization. Her Florencia en el Amazones for San Diego was acclaimed as best illustrating composer intent. And her Merry Widow for Teatro Colón was named in the top 10 operas for the entire Argentinian season. Among past engagements includes Santa Fe Opera, which is where I first met her, Arizona, Palm Beach, Madison, Fort Worth, North Carolina, and Opera San Jose. Her international productions have toured with the Montefeltro Festival, and upcoming is a Romeo and Juliet and a Pulcinella. So let me introduce Candace, who's going to say a few words about the production.
So apparently I get around, huh? We get used to the PR circuit.
For a picture.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Erie. As she mentioned, I had the pleasure of meeting her at Santa Fe some years ago, and that's when she invited me shortly thereafter to come to beautiful Livermore to do Lucia. And I do say beautiful. There's a lot of changes since I was here 4 years ago, and it's simply lovely. My current base is in Dallas, Texas, and I've got to tell you, the cool night air here is a gift from God. So, Eugene Onegin. Yeah, it's big. As you can tell from the list of some of my credits, I tend to get hired to do some of the bigger ones. I would hope that's because I'm good at what I do, but I suspect it's because I'm also a choreographer, and it's a double dip and you save a salary and a flight. But I am indeed choreographing the choruses, six dances, and they're doing beautifully. And I have the luxury of an incredible group of singers that Erie and Alexander have assembled to sing these astonishing roles. I've directed the piece once before, and when Erie and Alexander asked me if I'd be interested, I jumped at the chance. And the reason is this: it is based on a work of literature that is impeccable and indelible and truthful from the time it was written back in the 1830s till now. My background is an MFA in classical acting and directing, and so I'm a Shakespeare baby. And what is an interesting parallel is that Shakespeare wrote in verse, as you know. What you may not know is Onegin was written in verse. It was written over a period of years and written in sort of chapters, if you will, and published later after it was all assembled and put together. But the fact that it was written poetically over timeless subjects is what gets me going. It's the truth of human nature over time. I was chatting with the principals during our directing over the last week in saying, okay, so maybe it was written in a time that people are wearing more formal clothing or they have more formal manners, but the bottom line is their human spirit does not change. We have jealousy, we have wish, we have hope, we have love, we have despair, all the things. And boy, does this piece touch all the things. Unrequited love, passion, the road not taken, and predominantly through it all, the sorting of fact from fiction, getting lost in books, getting lost in the what would be. I think we can all relate in our modern culture right now of sorting fact from fiction, yes? We all, yes. I mean, anyone can post on social media and say X, Y, and Z, but that doesn't necessarily make it so. And when Tatiana is reading her books and her romances, does that make it so? Maybe yes, maybe no. I suggest you come to this incredibly powerful opera, which is beautifully conducted by Maestro Katzman, and sung by two of our incredible principals who are here today. As Forrest Gump said, I'm in a box of chocolates. It's hard to know your favorite. So without further ado, let's hear some of that.
So we have two principals here today. First of all, I neglected to give you the dates of the operas. We open on September the 28th, Saturday night, 7:30 premiere, and then we do Sunday afternoon, the 29th, at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, yes, 2 o'clock. And then the following weekend, October 5th and 6th, again Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Please do check out the website. It's really very good. You will see all of the principals listed, and you can click on their picture and it goes right to their websites and you can read all about them. We've assembled a really fantastic cast. And one of those cast members is Sarah Coit. She's a native of Spring Hill, Florida, holds a degree in music studies and theater performance from the University of South Florida and a master's degree from the University of Michigan. Sarah was a 2017 national semifinalist in the Metropolitan Opera National Council auditions. She recently sang the role of Mercedes in Carmen with the Seattle Opera, and Jenny in West Edge Opera's The Three Penny Opera. I don't know how many of you saw that. And on New Year's Eve, coming up, she will perform on a Baroque New Year's Eve at the Opera with the American Bach soloists in San Francisco. And in the spring of 2020, she will sing the role of Rosina in Utah Opera's Barber of Seville. So without further ado, she will say a little bit about who she is. She's doing the role of Olga, Tatiana's younger sister. She's the light in the opera. She's the funny one, the cute one, the adorable younger sister. So here's Sarah Coit.
She wanted me to speak a little bit. I'm very excited to be here because I'm a Rotary baby. My mother, father, and stepfather are all Paul Harris Fellows and past presidents. So what's up? So I have a long history with Rotary. So I'm going to sing an aria right now, which is basically what she said. She's fun. She has no time to be, burdened with being over emotional. She says, I'm just here to have fun. Everybody calls me a baby, but that's okay, because I'm having a good time. All right. We should turn it up.
Thank you, Sarah. A couple of fun facts about Eugene Onegin. The premiere was March the 29th, 1879. So it's kind of contemporary with the Pushkin. I mean, he was earlier, of course, but it's within the same century, at least. And he wrote it with the students, the Moscow Conservatory in mind. He premiered the opera there, so I mean, they must have had some really good singers at the Moscow Conservatory in 1879 because they first did it there. And then 2 years later, it was done at the Bolshoi in Moscow. The first performance outside of Russia was in Prague in 1888, and Tchaikovsky conducted that performance. And it was done in Czech, not in Russian. 1892 was the Hamburg premiere in German, conducted by, of all people, Gustav Mahler. It was supposed to be Tchaikovsky, but when he saw this young conductor there, he said, oh my goodness, he's fantastic, let him do it. So Gustav Mahler did the Hamburg premiere in 1892, and the London premiere was, and that was done in German, the London premiere was done in English in 1892, and in 1897, the Vienna premiere was in German, and that also Mahler conducted. The US premiere was in 1920, so it didn't come around until the 20th century, and it was sung of all languages in Italian. So we still haven't had anything done in Russian, you know, but now we do things in original language, mostly because we do have the super titles. So I want to remind you of that you will know exactly, you don't have to know Russian, you don't have to know Italian, German, and French either when you come to our operas. You read the story along and your eyesight goes right to the stage and you'll know exactly what's coming. I would get there a little bit early to read the synopsis because it's always nice to know what's going on in the opera, but you will know because we have the surtitles. Now, we have bass Andrew Potter. He's in increasing demand and who towers at an imposing and athletic 6'10". I tell the story of when I heard Andrew sing in New York. I was in New York last year and we had arranged for an audition and we were in I can't even remember where we were in New York. They have all these rehearsal and audition spots. And I was seated, because I was there a little bit early, and this huge guy walked by who could barely fit through the door jamb. And he walked down the hall and he walked back. And at that point I stood up and I think I came to his waist. And I said, "Are you Andrew Potter?" And he said, "Yes, I am." I said, "I'm Erie Mills." And so okay, let's go sing, you know. But I mean, it was just really quite amazing because I knew he was tall. I just didn't know exactly how tall 6'10" really was, but it's tall. If you're 5'1", it's really tall. Anyway, his mellifluous sonority lends itself to roles like Zarastro in The Magic Flute and Osmin in Abduction from the Seraglio, while demonstrating the range and physicality for buffo roles like Dr. Bartolo in Barber of Seville and Uberto in La Serva Padrona. He has performed with some of America's regional opera companies like Indianapolis Opera, Winter Opera of St. Louis, Des Moines Metro Opera, Pacific Opera Project, Tulsa Opera, Opera Steamboat, and Connecticut Lyric. And both Sarah and Andrew are making their debuts here with the Livermore Valley Opera. So I want, okay, Andrew, take it away.
Okay, you can do that. Great to be here. We'll be singing the role of Prince Gremin, who is describing to the young Onegin his love for Tatiana. Все возрасти покорны, ее порывы благотворны, свет. И заголон на мосолбой бойцу сырою головой. Онегин я скрывать не стану. Безумно я люблю Дарьяну. Тоскливо жизнь моя текла, она явилась и зажгла, как солнце луч среди ненастья. Мне жизнь и молодость, да молодость и счастье. Среди лукавых малодушных, жадных, балованных детей, злодеев и смешных, скучных, ваших мистеры, среди кокеток богомолных, среди холоп водопроводных, среди земельных вольных стенчативых ласковых измен, среди голодных приговоров, жестоко сердой суети, среди досадной пустоты, просмотров дом и разговоров. Блистает, как звезда во мраке ночи, в небе чистом и мне является стена. Сияние ангела лучистом. Убийся, возрасти покорней, ее порыве благотворней. Увидевшему свет и заголонному судьбой бойцу сырою головой. Онегин я скрывать не стану. Безумно я люблю Дарьяну. Тоскливо жизнь моя текла, она явилась и зажгла, как солнце луч среди ненастья. Ни жизнь, ни молодость, да молодость и счастье. Не жизнь, ни молодость и
I didn't really say quite enough about our wonderful maestro. and pianist today, Alex Katzman. As I said, he was trained in Russia. He received his Bachelor of Music cum laude from the Mussorgsky College of Music in St. Petersburg, Russia, and he got his Master's in Music from the St. Petersburg Rimsky-Korsakov State Conservatory. He is a Merola alumni, and for those that know that, that's the summer program of the San Francisco Opera. And he has over 75 operas, operetta, and musical theater productions in his repertoire. We are very fortunate to have him, and we are very blessed that he is our music director. And he is now serves on the conducting faculty of the Bach Millennium Music Summer Program, as well as on the coaching staff of the San Francisco Conservatory. Thank you, Mike. A lot of people are a little bit afraid of Russian, the language and all of that, and the stories, and but it's, oh, look at that! Wow, how did that happen? Magic! Ooh, magic! But I want to just tell you that it is an absolutely beautiful language. Maestro has been talking to the singers about it, and it's very vowel-oriented, even though there are lots of consonants and stranger vowels to us. But it's a very legato language and very, very beautiful. And in fact, my husband, whose last name is Ruscigno, Italian last name, said to me, you know, I think I like Russian better than German. And I said, oh, honey, I mean, I happen to make a very good living singing in a lot of German. I didn't sing any Russian. But anyway, so that's his opinion. So I'm just throwing that out there in case that would be a fear factor for you all in not coming. Please do come. I can sum up the plot to Eugene Onegin in one sentence. A young St. Petersburg dandy inherits his uncle's estate and moves to the country only to languish in boredom, break the heart of a young girl, and kill his best friend in a classic romantic duel. That's it. That's all. That takes 3 hours, but it's worth it because the music is so beautiful that, you know, the time passes very quickly. So I think let's have everybody up. I think we're actually done with our program, but we wanted to leave some time for questions and answers. Yes?
When you all were deciding which opera to produce, why did you not choose Boris Godunov?
Boris Godunov is a little too big for us, and plus it has a lot more principles, many more. We have a budget that we have to work within, and also I'm not sure that Boris would even fit on the Bankhead stage. You know, we try to do things, I mean, the Bankhead is such a lovely, lovely, wonderful theater, but the pit only holds max 35 max, and that would be really scrunched. Usually we use between 24 and 26, 27, something like that. So we use reductions. We will use a reduction for the Onegin too, because it's a much bigger orchestra. But we try to do things that we think we can do well, and I don't think we could do Boris well. I think that's a big opera house. Well, some people would say Eugene Onegin is a big opera house opera, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it well. So how's that for an answer? Anyway, any other questions? Oh, come on. I don't even think we're quite over yet, but we're getting there. Okay, okay, we're good. Linda.
Andrew, what's the lowest note you can sing?
The lowest note that I've sung operatically on stage is a low C.
What does that sound like?
Very low.
And that's not an earthquake that just happened.
Thanks.
I have actually sung Joby Talbot's Path of Miracles. Professional chorale bought me in for it. And it's written for 17 voices, 16 parts. And they had me sing the bass 4, which actually begins on an A1 a cappella. That's the lowest note I've ever had to sing in public.
Wow.
That was an interesting day.
Yes.
Okay, then what's the highest note?
Well, it truly depends on the role. Typically, as a basso, my range ends about an F or an F sharp. I have sung, some bass baritone roles like Escamillo, that of course has the G at the end of the duet, things like that.
You want to know what my highest note was?
That was pretty
It's a
high.
high F. Actually, I did a G. There's a Mozart concert aria. Darn that guy. Can we say that? Who wrote G's in a, well, it would have been lower back then, but it was G's, and they were not very attractive, but I did them anyway. So. Any other questions?
How's the weather up there?
It's great. Love it in California.
Oh, there's another question?
I just wanted to give Jay an opportunity to Jim Schmidt for not covering what Bonnie does for these operas, because it's absolutely incredible the work she puts in.
It is incredible. Bonnie Schmidt, who is a Rotary member, is our production manager. That's her big title, the umbrella. Production manager means she is basically in charge of everything that goes on, that is built and goes on the stage. So the scenery, getting the people, volunteers to do the scenery and the painting and all that. She is also works with the costumes. She orders the costumes. Our costumes are absolutely gorgeous for this. They're coming from Utah Opera. Candace approved them, so we sent all the measurements of all the choristers and all the principals, and they fit them, they pull costumes from Eugene Onegin in fitting. So she's kind of in charge of that, along with our costume director, Lauren Watkins.
600 pounds.
600 pounds of costumes came. Yes, I helped the day that we were hanging them up. And each chorister has 3 sets, plus some coats too for the dual scene. Anyway, but Bonnie is also our props director, and so she was madly doing a settee the other day. You want to say something about that? She's covering.
Sure, yes. I mean, part of what I do as a stage director is interface with the company, and so it was always Bonnie and Erie. And so I sent a list of props, and we were needing the settee because we're doing a scene on it, and we were rehearsing with 2 little chairs, and it just doesn't work out. So she was frantically fixing it, rebuilding it, putting the cover on it. Additionally, this morning, she was at my house because as a stage director, I review the super titles and make sure that they are in conjunction with what we're actually doing on the stage, and that the cuts are, if we do any cuts in the music that isn't there. So at 10 this morning, she's dropping off the super titles to my house so that I can edit them, and then she was whisking away to do, I don't even know what, but her wings were barely down when she left.
She doesn't very often get to see an opera, which is too bad. I mean, she comes in and out of the theater when we're in the house. But last Sunday, we did an event at Rossmore for their opera club, and Bonnie was there with Jim and Bev and one of the other stage people, and they got to hear 3 of the principals sing much from the show. And so I think they enjoyed it because they finally got to hear and see what was actually going on. So that was kind of nice. Anyway, but she's invaluable, our Bonnie. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Another question? Okay,
Oh,
that's it.
well,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We will reserve finding Jim until after the premiere.
Oh.
Because then he'll be so emotional, he won't know what he's doing.
Okay.
You need to draw a ticket.
A ticket?
A ticket, just one ticket. And read the last 3 numbers.
Making it hard for me.
Otherwise, I'd have to pull mine out.
Okay. All right. And what is this for?
Well, there's $500 in the kitty. They get to draw, they don't get the kitty, they get to draw towards the kitty.
Oh, okay. All right.